your video?
So we're doing basically a baseline fish survey for the Blackwood Basin group here at Schwenke's Dam. The activities we're doing here today is a range of different freshwater fish survey techniques to make sure we capture whatever freshwater fish are in here, and that's introduced and native species. So we're using fyke nets, some gill nets, seine nets, and also an electrofisher. The boat electrofisher just has a couple of anode poles that sit out from the front of the boat, and the boat hull itself acts as a cathode. Basically it passes a current between the two, and any fish that are there basically get temporarily stunned, and we scoop them up and identify them and measure them, and if they're an introduced species we put them straight on ice to take back to the Murdoch. If they're a native species we measure them and let them go. We've got a couple of native species of freshwater fish here, the western pygmy perch and the western minnow, which are quite widespread southwestern Australian endemic species, so they're found nowhere else on the planet. We've also got, unfortunately, the eastern gambusia, which is a North American live-bearing species, which is now found right throughout the southwest and even up into the Midwest as well. Disturbingly, we do find quite a lot of introduced species. So in the southwest of Western Australia, the number of introduced species now outnumbers our native species. The native fishes of southwestern Australia are highly unique, more than 80% are found nowhere else. What we really like to tell the public is please do not go introducing even your aquarium species into your local waterways, because they can have a devastating effect.
Awesome. Great work. Very good work. Next presenter from NRM and Landcare, Claudia Hadl. Please make her welcome. I think Claudia featured last night in one of the table quizzes doing her photograph.
How many people recognised me? Well, good morning everyone. This one here. I'm just going to do a 12-month snapshot of some Dumbleyung happenings since I've returned to my job back in Dumbleyung. You'll see the pamphlets on the chair that I handed out. Dumbleyung Zone was formed out of the Blackwood Basin Group in the late 90s. It's 320,000 hectares. Of that, there's 66% of the areas in the Dumbleyung Shire. There's about 25,000 hectares, or 8% of the zone is native vegetation. And when we set up our zone the first 4 years, we spent $450,000 on an incentive money, and with that we achieved 190 hectares of revegetation, 110 hectares oil mallees, 400 hectares of saltland reveg, and also funding for remnant bush, earthworks, summer crops, loosen, monitoring rising water table, and deep drains. Which one? The middle one? Oh, that's not in order. Well, this is a creek line. I can soon pick this up. This is one of my first visits. They took me out and showed me this creek line and said, what do we do with this? So this is in the mid to upper catchment, and this is what do you do with it? It's a natural vegetation, one of the last remaining creek lines in the upper to mid catchments, and the whole vegetation is dying. Oh, now we're back to the fox shooting. When I left Landcare last time, red fox wasn't set up. So when I went back there, my first job was this, and they led me to believe that if I had to count the foxes, I had to throw them on the trailer, so I won't be doing that again. We shot 64 that night, so that's all I had to chuck on the trailer. And the results all over for the wheat belt, for the red calf, the red fox, 9,775 feral animals were culled, including 4,540 foxes, 395 cats, and 4,800 rabbits. That's a big effort. Some Woolorama opportunity for the Landcare team to promote Landcare. That creek that I showed you, this is it.
My fault.
So this is the one that's died, and we've put in for an application to get trees to, it's not the solution, but that's one simple solution we have. There is a program to integrate more things through that landscape rather than just the trees. Those trees maybe aren't going to be enough to mop up that water table right there where it's causing all the trees to die from salinity. Next slide, this is Lucky Dip. There was a 5-year program going before I got to Dumyung. I've just done the last year, organised out of Katanning by the Katanning team, as getting bridal creeper spray on the Shire roadside reserves. In Dumyung, it's in just about every bush area, and it even grows in rock heaps. So it's going to be a big community effort if we need to get on top of bridal creeper, and that's out in the wheat belt. So it's going to be a big problem. Oh, here we are. Now, another big problem out there is a weed called silverleaf nightshade. I've got some pamphlets here if anyone's interested. That's one of our dedicated Landcare farmers, Gordon Davidson, and on the left and on the right is Phil Bowden, and he came over from the Murrumbidgee Landcare to run a workshop on silverleaf nightshade and to set up some trials and experiments with the farmers up in the Fence Road. It's a bit of a hot spot for this weed. If anyone ever sees the weed, make sure that you report it or do something about it. You never want to get the weed growing in your creek lines or your waterways because it's going to be more vigorous and spreads more rapidly than bridal creeper. It's a real dangerous weed, so we're going to try and get on top of that up in the Fence Road. A couple of sweet projects we've got going in Dumbleyung, and this is just soil testing at one of the projects. Tree planting day, we had a tree planting day with the Dumbleyung School. When I first went to Dumbleyung years ago, there was over 100 kids at the school. Now there's only less than 30. So when it's tree planting day, everyone joins in. And Cooktown, they had a threatened animal species day. Dr. Jeff Short and Marissa Kruger from Katanning ran that day, and the kids loved it. It was a big hit out there at Cooktown. And the last slide, this is our floods from just recently. Taran Rock had 150 mils and Cooktown had 120, and consequently our lake now is half full, just in time for our 50th anniversary of the Bluebird celebration on New Year's Eve. So, everyone know about the Bluebird, the water speed record? Donald Campbell, yes, 444.6 kilometres an hour was the record.
It's very rapid.
So there's a big celebration in Dumyung. They're going to celebrate the 50th anniversary.
And you are done. Please thank Claudia.
How much any pamphlets we come to see me afterwards?
So a great variety of projects being embarked upon there at Dumbleyung. Now we go to Wagen, Wooden and Landcare. Veronica Crouch, please make your welcome.
Morning everyone, I'm Veronica Crouch from the Wagen Landcare Zone. I've been the zone manager for about a year and a half now. It's a single-man office, so it's just me, so I've taken on quite a few roles since I've been there. So today, I wanted to talk about the importance of recognition. We all know that organisation and the staff need to be recognised for the work that they're doing because it has a positive outcome for the organisation, the staff and the community that's involved with that organisation. So if we're doing something right, it usually leads to encouragement from the organisation, and you get more things sort of snowballing on from that. Recognition increases your public presence of the organisation, and you find that more people are willing to become involved with that organisation through getting that recognition and your awareness out there into the community. So how do we go about getting recognition for our organisation? You may find that you're not just going to be handed it from other people. You're probably going to have to go and try and find it yourself. And I actually found this surprisingly easy. We put in a nomination for our organisation just recently to get an award, and it's something that I would actually recommend everyone to do if you're not already. If you're successful in obtaining an award, you'll boost the status of your organisation within the community that you're in, and also other communities all around your area and maybe even the state if you've done extremely well. So at the National Landcare Conference, if anyone was lucky enough to attend, we heard about crowdfunding and how important it is for us to get a big public presence in order to be successful in crowdfunding. So you can put in applications online and people can bid on your funding application along those sorts of lines. So recognition of your organisation from other members of the public is really important. So this leads me on to last Friday. My zone chairman, Richard Pickford, and myself went up to the Regional Achievement and Community Awards at the Convention Centre. There were 8 award rounds, so different sponsors, and we were lucky enough to attain a semi-finalist award under the Landcare Sustainability Award round. We were extremely chuffed with this because, we're only a one-man office, so it was really good for us. And we were up against some fantastic finalists, and I think the winner did, they were turning cooking oil from a mining site into fuel, so we did pretty well. There was over 400 in attendance at the event, so it was quite exciting for us to follow along and be part of it. We got this award for our beekeeping basics workshop that we held in Woodnilly. Had 43 attendees, and we packed out the pavilion. 43 might not sound that much, but it's huge in comparison to the size of our little town that we're in. We got this funding support through the South West Regional Legal Facilitator Program community capacity events, and we had some positive feedback from the community. I think our worst comment in what could you do better was, you could have made sunny weather or something like that, so that was really good. So even though it was a small event, it was great to have our achievements acknowledged, and we can now share this with the community, and they can be really proud of that they can be involved with our organisation. So as much as we need to be congratulated, we need to congratulate other organisations and thank our volunteers and our farmers for all the work that they do with us. This encourages them to keep going, and you just have to say good job or thanks for that, pat them on the back. And it just gives you that warm fuzzy feeling, and it makes them feel appreciated, which is really important. So if we think positively coming into the future, basic law of attraction, positive thoughts, positive outcomes. So if we stay positive, we gain recognition for all the hard work we're doing, we'll have good things to come.
Well done, Veronica. You have no idea how much you are on the money in terms of entering awards is very good because it helps you to understand what your project and your organisation is all about. And positivity generates positivity, and the community certainly does share and become part of the victory. So well done. Right, we're Land for Wildlife. Next, Avril Baxter. Please make her welcome.
6 of us working it throughout the state, and I work in the upper part of the catchment. And Land for Wildlife is a voluntary scheme aimed at people who want to protect nature on their farm or on their property, even though it might be managed primarily for other reasons. It's a voluntary scheme and it's run out of the Department of Parks and Wildlife, and we have been doing it for the last 17 years. And over those 17 years, this is all the patches of land that we have walked over with the landowners. Now it looks really great on there. Unfortunately, for you to be able to see it, I had to put a 1-point line around it. Just imagine all that a little bit less. The pattern is still there, but there's not that much push in relation to the vegetation that's out there. But basically, that's a lot of contact. That's a lot of people whose land we have walked with. That's a lot of people who have told us what they know. That's a lot of people that we have essentially what the program tries to do: informed, inspired, involved. All the things that we talked about yesterday. That's what we attempt to do. And who are these people? The people like Carol here, who wants information. She lives in Mandurah. I just met her a couple of weeks ago. She has a property in West Arthur, 50 hectares of bushland, and over the last 7 years that she's been there, she has documented 59 different species of orchids, when they came into leaf, when they came into flower. She has photographs of all the pollinators that use them. Is this information useful to anybody? What can she do with it? How can she collect it better? But what else is happening in her bushland? Her vision is to look after the plants and animals that are there. How can she do it? She wants information. There's other people like Ryan, and he wants money. And you know, he's grown up on this farm, and he's been playing this bushland when he was a kid, and he sees it thinning out. So he wants money. I want to fence this out. And they've come to Land for Wildlife for help. But one thing I want to say just about these people. Who are these people? You saw that map. These are volunteers that are putting absolute hours into biodiversity conservation value on their land. So they've come to Land for Wildlife for help. And why Land for Wildlife? And I want to say one of the things is, I think it's because we have a continuous presence in the landscape. You know, and this is like, we talk about change or whatever, but we are, so far, and I know it's a cheesy area, but we're funded out of consolidated revenue by the government, and we are permanent part-time workers, whatever that means. But what it does mean that, you know, we've made contact with these people. We have visited their properties. We know them. We ask what their values are like, and we've developed a sense of trust with them. We're that face in the community. We're that sticky bit or whatever, that if they have a question that they want to know about, they know that they can ring us. Now, look, there was lots of people, as you saw, in that landscape. We can't contact them all. Our main means of communication, our main means of information is now through Facebook, but also through a magazine and email and phone contacts. So they can come to us, but there is a sense of trust. We are a continuous base. But we have limited resources, and we have no money for on-ground works. We were set up that way. We don't actually have any money to give out to people. You can't come to us for money, but you can come to us for information. We walk on your property, one-on-one contact. We walk with you. So we can, if money comes along, you know, direct you towards it, or the money towards you, help you with it. So, you know, it's basically like, let's work together. These are some of the things that we have done in the last year. We're in a partnership, and I'm just talking for myself here, because I say this Land for Wildlife office is all over the place. What have we done? Worked together with SWIP out of Bustleton, Peel Harvey out of Mandurah, and you can see the Community Landcare Centre. I'm apologising to you guys that I didn't put your actual words up on there, but this was a Black Cockatoo Friday. How do they go about organising it? Remotely. We're there. We knew the landowners. We helped with the on-site situations. Another one, Rivers to Ramsar with the South West Catchments Council. A very short time, like 9 months from farmer contact to the project planted and signed off. And you know, and we all know it's not going to work anyway because it mightn't have rained up at that time of the year up there. But you know, we're able to put them in contact with the Land for Wildlife network and people and start that program happening really quickly. So this is it. Last second, come together and work with people who want to conserve nature. This is a huge network of people. how can we help them conserve nature? Because they're interested and they're informed and they're involved. Thank you.
Geez, Avril, that's a fair chunk of territory to have covered there. That is awesome.
It's huge, but it's not just me. It's a lot of people doing it.
I understand,
Quite
yes.
constant.
Now, Greening Australia WA, Mr. David Collins, please step forward and enlighten us. Please make him welcome.
Thank you. Now, so I'm here representing Greening Australia, the Northern Office. We have a current project with the North Mortlock, which extends from Dalwhinnie, Wonga Hills, right down to Northern, where that branch of the Mortlock meets the Appen. And the project that I specifically have been working with is plants to be used as for fodder, and they're all native plants, and we've targeted areas on farmers' properties that are currently unproductive as far as cropping goes. Unfortunately, we're not getting the good soil that Bill was talking about yesterday, but the main idea of the project is to plant fodder shrubs on these areas that can be used for stock feed mainly during the autumn feed gap, which is at the end of summer when all the dry feed, annual feed has died and is being used, and to put stock onto these areas to get them through those last 6 to 8 weeks before the winter rains approach or come. So you can see here the little pit set there with the ute getting clogged. That's that site. The day that we were seeding, you can see the tractor in the background. We use direct seeding wherever possible and back that up with some seedlings, which I'll go into shortly. But you can see after 2 years, the shrubs established and the farmer was able to put them on the sheep on there in late autumn, early winter, and they did quite well. As I said, the main mode of establishment is with direct seeding, so you can see the machine there, and that's the same site 2 years later, ready now to be grazed. Again, the talk yesterday about areas of bush and then cleared areas, we seem to be reinventing the wheel with our system where we're establishing mainly the trees and shrubs in belts, and then we have an inter-row which will end up being annual species, and hopefully we're looking at reintroducing native grasses into those areas. Now, which species have we used? So we've taken information from the CSIRO Enrich project, which ran for, I think, nearly 10 years from right across southern Australia. They tested over 150 native species. A majority of those do occur in Western Australia. They've come down to their top 20, so we've tried to source those and using WA subspecies or endemic to WA. But also DAF, or DAFWA as it was then, in their rangeland management section, they had also identified quite a few species that are rated as palatable and eaten by stock in the rangeland. So we looked at their list and they didn't actually match up. There's quite a few WA species that are rated as being very palatable and grazed by stock and kangaroos that weren't included in the enriched list. So we've gone out and collected as many of those species that we could, established them there in a little seed orchard at Northern. But even a small area like that, you can get enough seed off that to have 50 trays of seedlings to go out into different sites. So just very quickly, again, another point from the talk yesterday, you can see that the difference there, 2012, that site was covered with, that is not grass, that's all ice plants, the brown on the left. And just 2 years later, that's a Mariana brevifolia, which is actually a local native species that is palatable to stock. How the difference there is not because we have planting seed made in the background, some rows of fodder shrubs. The main difference there is just a change in grazing management. So the sheep are on for a certain time and then taken off, and it's allowed to recover. So it's favoured the perennial species over the annual, and the farm's getting a lot more production from that area. If anyone wants more information, we have pamphlets here at the back too. I'm happy to talk to anyone about that.
Thanks, David. That sounds as though it might be quite close to Oral's place.
Yes, we have a site on Oral's place as well.
There you go. I know the geography. A lot. I know bits. Right, now the last one in this session, and if we have time left over, which is highly unlikely, anyway, we'll drive on. These two are a problem right from the off. Ella Messop and Andrea Salmon, first they come in, move all the furniture, just make themselves at home like they are, bloody nice. They come in with their props, their toys. The kids are without toys today because this like...
There was a fight.
I fought the kids for the toys. Yeah. Okay. The clock is running, ladies.
Hang on, which is the button?
The little bit.
I think it's on the left.
It's on the left hand, there you go. Are you all right, man?
Ready? The story begins 1 year ago at the Catania Cheese Company.
Right, we're really about to do up our next batch for next year. Would you be able to go out and get that big block of cheddar? You know, the one we always get, and it's got federal government, state government, SWIC written on it, and it's about enough for 150, 200,000 trees, 100 k's of fencing, a few hundred hectares of green pastures, and 2 or 3 workshops.
I know the one. I'll be right back.
Okay, right.
Ella, I have some bad news.
What do you mean bad news?
Well, this is all they had.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's the biggest they have.
that's the biggest they had. It's enough for about 90,000 trees, about 48 kilometers of fence, but that's all they
But
had.
how are we going to do what we
I
always do?
have more bad news, Ella.
What do you mean? Oh.
This is next year's allotment.
What are we going to do?
I know.
We always have the big block of cheddar.
I know, we always go to the farm.
What are you going to? We're going to have to find some more cheese.
We're going to have to go look for more cheese.
We're going to get more cheese. Oh no. Oh no, don't tell me we're going to.
We're going to
We're going to have to go to town.
have to go to town.
Townies.
It's so busy.
And
there's
they're
so-
like, oh, they're all diverse and they
want
need
different things.
education. We've got our farmers trained.
Yeah. But we got no choice. I'll go
see
to
what
town.
you can get.
Okay.
Right, town.
Well, actually, Ella, I found some really interesting things in town. There's some interesting cheese out there. Gouda, for example. You know, that's quite interesting. Yeah. Oh, blue vein.
We are desperate.
Piano there. Lots of
That.
mozzarella. What's about the pizza? Okay. So
Do
we
you really
got
like
some
multiculturalism?
Yeah, we've got a few different things here, some parmesan and feta, so I think we've got some stuff
We
we can
can
work.
get a bit creative. I'm
I
sure we
think so.
can make something out of this. I mean, we've got our little bit of usual, but right.
Yeah,
We're gonna do it. Oh, right, caught up. Definitely do something.
Definitely do that.
Okay. Ready?
Ready?
Oh, hang on. I didn't press the button.
Oh, we had to go find more cheese.
Oh, there we go. Fast forward. Time warp. Well, we actually managed to pull something out.
I think we did.
There was enough cheese to actually pull off 18 workshops over the last 12 months.
That's not bad. Yeah, we did keeping chickens in your backyard. That's great for the townies. How dirt works. Night stock, 41 people came along to that, and 2 cloth napkins workshops.
And we managed to teach people how to eco retrofit their home. We did 2 workshops on seed collecting and cleaning for Collinone River. We had our Israeli Busy Bowl meeting, and we ran a Heavenly Hectares program.
And we had big and small landholders working together collaboratively, our fox shoot, landscapes and soils of the Catania District bus tour, and a eucalypt ID workshop where we all learned a lot.
We took the kids out for a Trees of the Resource Day. We ran a Sustainable House Day. We finally got onto our Arboretum planning, which we've been talking about for years. And we also ran a weed-free garden workshop. And we managed to also spread this cheese out to go get into 4 faiths. We had a display at the Catania Track Mat, at Woolorama,
and the Katanning Show, of course, and at the inaugural Katanning Eco Fair, which is part of Katanning's Eco Week, which was brilliant.
And we managed to stretch the cheese even further.
We took 2 big bus tours. We took a bunch of young farmers all around the district on the Contiki tour, and we took a big bus trip up to Minganoo Irwin to learn about perennial pasture principles.
And we figured, while we were doing all these workshops, which are far more labour intensive and do not provide enough money for the amount of hours we're putting in anyway, we thought, bugger it, we might as well go and not get paid to do presentations at conferences too. We presented at the National Landcare Conference in Melbourne and also the State Landcare Conference in Busselton.
And the NRM and Landcare here in Bridgetown and the Wetlands Conference in Perth.
And what we found is because we were actually more active in town than we'd ever been, we were raising a lot of profile in town, a lot of interest, and we had some requests from community groups.
Yeah, so the St. Andrew's Anglican Church and the Katanning National Seniors Group both asked us to present and tell them what Landcare is about and what we're up to.
And we still managed to get a smaller allocation of on-ground work to add onto the farm.
Yeah.
Do you reckon we should let this lot in on the secret where we found all this extra cheese?
We had to go searching. It was a big search. So these are some of the places we went. Most of the people on that side were really, really generous. And some of these guys were a little bit less so, but all really worthwhile looking into. And of course, we always had our usual suspects still helping us out.
All I can say is, oh, no wonder we're tired.
Let's just go get some cheese.
That was absolutely awesome, and you get the prize for maintaining faith with the theme of the conference about the whole cheese thing. I'm getting cheeses every day to this.
It was a cheesy presentation.
Yes. Just was it a bowel meeting?
Yeah.
Bowel meeting.
That was the annual interagency extension update in October, AEIOU.
Oh, I thought it might be something for Canadians. You know how they always have trouble with their vowels. Identify Canadian, am I right? No, I'm not. Thank you very much. Some great stories there. Give those guys a round of applause.
Hi everyone. It's nothing like a good strong coffee standing in front of all these people. Is it right? This green one, yep. Okay, what is COSWAP? Who is COSWAP? We are basically a group of coastal planning and management stakeholders based around the southwest from Mandurah to Walpole. Our aim is to bring these stakeholders together on a regular basis, share information on projects, priorities, and the information that we need and have, and disseminating that throughout that network. South West Appeal Coastal Management Group. So, I'll try and explain that, that's great. We have a range of over 200 stakeholders in our network at the moment, basically from community groups and volunteers all the way up to our state level planners and managers, local governments, regional catchment groups such as South West Catchments Council and sub-regional groups. And listening to these talks today, we're probably going to just try and reach our individual community members a little bit more. So yeah, there's our area. How do we do this? Well, sub-regional forums in each sub-regional catchment, from Peel Harvey all the way down to the Warren. Don't worry, Kathy, we're getting down there early next year, sorry. So it'd be great to re-engage with those coastal stakeholders in the Warren and Blackwood regions. Bringing people together, sharing information, and then compiling that information and putting it together in a way that can be disseminated right across. So if something's really cool is happening in Walpole in terms of projects, monitoring, community engagement, we can share that information all the way up to the Peel Harvey area. So we also cross that new sort of regional level with the South West Catchments Council and Peel Harvey region, so we can sort of keep that boundary nice and broad. And always updating this network. It's a bit of a rotating door of sorts in our industry, but there's always new volunteers, new people involved, and this is a way where we can get people up to speed pretty quickly by adding them to the network and inviting them to our forums so they can get this information pretty quick. And we're acting as a voice when required. We'll get to that when we talk about some of this cheese that we're all chasing. It's moving around. Click. Okay, so in a real nutshell, I like to call it popping the bubbles and filling the gaps. We're all in our own way, in our own little bubbles, you know, no matter how much we try and get out there. And this conference here today, or this weekend, or well, these 2 days, is a way of where we're popping these bubbles and we're also filling these gaps. And CoSwap is doing that on that sort of coastal focused basis. When we get people around these tables at our forums, you can see the list of bullet points where I call where the magic happens. There's always someone that knows something that you don't, and sometimes it could even be the environmental or the environmental officer and the planner from a local government, and they're sitting in the same room type of thing. And we see that sort of, unfortunately, pretty regularly, definitely between local governments and parks and wildlife officers, and they've got adjoining boundaries, adjoining issues. Don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's always someone probably doing it already, in a way, and you just have to take that information and run with it as it works best for you. And those little snippets can make all the difference to your project. This lower one, it's not my job, but I wish someone would do it. We'll talk about that cheese again in regards to our coast care framework and model, similar to this Landcare type of model. We're accepting this change. We've been around for 20 years, CoSwap. Well, CoSwap has. And that was pretty much before we had our regional catchments groups, before we had the programs called Coast West within the West Australian Planning Commission. I'm employed as a contracted project officer. I don't have a long-term contract. I'm sort of employed to, I guess, get my own funding. So it's a bit of an incentive for my role. We have professionals and volunteers that are within our network, and in a way we crowdfund through local government memberships. We access grants as well as sourcing through the catchments councils. And that's not my presentation ending. I pressed click, so I'll leave it there.